Should be interesting for them not being here. Yep, it works.
Welcome to Franklin County Board of Equalization hearings. Today is December, Thursday the 4th, 2025. There will be 2 scheduled hearings today. The time is now 11:10 a.m. and we will hear petition BE 2025-28 with parcel 110560386 owned by Michelle and Harold Snively. From the assessor's office, we have Nikki Morgan, chief appraiser, and Clark Dixon, appraiser on the case. The residential petition is scheduled for 20 minutes. The appellant and the appraiser will each have 5 minutes to highlight points of evidence they have provided. The last 10 minutes we'll use for rebuttal and questions from the board. We ask that both parties that have any questions or communication be directed to the board and the board only.
Good morning. Welcome to the Franklin County Board of Equalization. Board members are Joe Christ, Charles Laird, and myself, Lexi Moore, as chair. Our clerk is Jen Herrera. The board is a quasi-judicial body, which means having to do with powers that are to some extent judicial as those of certain federal and state boards and commissions. The board and the assessor's office are independent of each other. Our role is to review the facts presented by both parties and determine the market value of the property as of January 1 of the assessment year. The law grants presumption of correctness to the assessor, and the burden is on the petitioner to prove the assessment's incorrect. This hearing will be recorded and all testimonies under oath. Our clerk will now ask you to affirm your testimony by raising your right hand.
Do each of you who will be testifying today affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? Thank you.
Following the hearing, the board will meet to weigh evidence and make a final determination. We will issue a written decision to you, which you should receive within 4 weeks. The decision is appealable to the State Board of Tax Appeals, and a notice of the appeal opportunity is at the bottom of the written decision. The board is in receipt of all documentary data provided by you and the assessor, and we have reviewed it. As the appellant is not here, the appraiser can present his case first.
Okay. Thank you for having me. The property is for Michelle and Harold Snively, and the address is undetermined as of yet because there is no house there. It's a vacant lot of 4 acres with a detached shop and lean-to on it. When I visited with Mr. Snively on the 29th of October, it was discovered that the shop that we had as 1,728 square feet was actually 2 separate units. One was a 24 by 36 shop, and the other was a 24 by 36 lean-to. And I will refer you to the aerial map on page 3. And what's interesting about this particular property is the Snively household is in the lower right-hand corner of that site that is outside of the site that we're speaking to, which is a 4-acre parcel, which does have a shop on it. And that is the front of the site with the shop there to the very left, and that is on page 4. On page 5 is the front of the garage, which is 24 by 36, and the next slide is the lean-to the rear on page 6, and then here's the sketch. We offered, and we actually changed this and lowered the value slightly to reflect the shop and lean-to rather than a full shop. And then we sent that to Mr. Snively, who has not signed it, but we are working towards the stipulated value of the revised shop and lean-to rather than the full shop. So if we look on page 16, and it's highlighted in yellow at the top, it says Washington State requires that we assess values at 100% of market value. And so I just wanted to remind us all of that. The land sales in the subject neighborhood are on page 10, and they are analyzed here. All are basically 5 acres. All are in the subject's neighborhood and quite proximate. An error is noted that I highlighted in green, and I apologize for that. It says it's 31 months from the date of sale. It's actually 26. The rest of the math and calculations were correct, but I did want to point that out that I did see that. The average price per acre is $35,882, and the Snively's land is $36,250 per acre. So we're within a few $100s in total on a per acre basis. And all of these sales have an initial sale price, irrespective of the sale date, that exceed or well exceed the appellant's estimate of value of $100,000. The lowest sale we have here is $100,000, with most of them being around $150,000. The petitioner sales, here is the map of those sales and how proximate they are with the subject. That's on page 11. The subject at the very top, and then directly below that are 3 sales. And sale number 3 is his sale number 1. So he did provide sale number 1, and I used it as sale 3 because I did an independent search for sales in the neighborhood. All of those sales are generally off Pasco Colotus Highway. So on page 14, you will find a review of the petitioner sales, and you will see that sale number 1 is analyzed as sale number 3 above. Sale number 2 is in Kennewick, in Benton County, and I did not analyze it. Sale number 3 is in Colotus, in an inferior location, but it just resold for $121,000 in June of 2025, which is considerably higher than the sale that he has indicated. And sale number 4 is not a market sale. It sold 4 years earlier for $80,000, which is higher than that sale price. And so other than sale number 1, none of them are proximate. And the map below that on the next page is page 15. You can see that they are not close, other than his sale number 1, my sale number 3. And one of his sales was in Benton County. So the subject's land value is well supported at $145,000, with a revised value for the outbuilding at $23,000, for a total of $168,600. And we respectfully ask that the assessor's assessed value be sustained.
As the appellant is not here, we will open up questions from the board for the next 10 minutes.
I just wanted to make a note, just because I know you guys don't always have the time to verify sales in depth. That sale in Colotus, they put about a $70,000 well on it between the 23 sale and the 25 sale. So it did change significantly. Just heads up for
All right.
your write-ups.
Thank you for noting that.
Yeah. I did have a question. So there weren't any small acreage sales along the PK Highway? Those were just going crazy for a while, those little 5-acre lots?
They were going crazy for a while,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of settled down. Now, there
Okay.
was a sale that I did not include that was from, I think, June of 2025.
Okay.
And that sale is noted in the time adjustment group, and it sold for more than $150,000.
Okay.
So what it does indicate, even though I didn't include it in the analysis, is while some of the neighborhoods in Franklin County are rising and falling, particularly on the small acreage sites, we're still seeing, closer into town, an increase in sale prices, which is kind of a little bit contrary on some level to some of the other single-family sales that we're seeing in town.
Perfect. Okay. I just wanted to verify because, yeah, I knew there were a lot of those lots out there. Thank you.
I don't have any questions.
I don't know if I've missed it but your comps are 5 acres and the petitioner's property's 4?
Yes, and I did search for 4-acre or 3-acre or 2.5-acre parcels that would be remotely similar, and they just didn't exist.
Do you
But I did search for them, Charles.
Do you adjust for that on a per
What I
acre
did
basis?
try and determine was $1 per acre, on a $1 per acre basis.
Okay.
And so in generally speaking, due to diminishing returns, a 5-acre $1 per acre would be lesser than a 4-acre per acre, all other things equal. So we're within a couple of $100 on average of that, and so I didn't go into that detail, but the 4 acres is well supported when we're using 5 acres as our benchmark.
Thanks.
You have time if there's anything else you want to.
I don't have anything to offer.
Is that your only question? Yep. Okay. All right. With that, this concludes the hearing for petition BE 2025-28, parcel number 110560386, owner Michelle and Harold Snively. A final decision should be received within 4 weeks. This decision is appealable to the State Board of Tax Appeals, and a notice of the appeal opportunity and the process will be located at the bottom of that decision. The time is 11:21.
Welcome back to Franklin County Board of Equalization hearings. Today is December, Thursday the 4th, 2025. The time is now 11:40 a.m. and we will hear petition BE 2025-24 parcel 106-700-088 owned by James and Rhonda Quinton. From the assessor's office, we have Angel Samano, the appraiser who was on the case. This is a residential hearing, which will be scheduled for 20 minutes. The appellant and the appraiser will each get 5 minutes to highlight points of evidence they have provided. The last 10 minutes will be used for rebuttal and questions from the board. We ask that both parties that have any questions or communication be directed to the board and the board only.
Good morning. Welcome to the Franklin County Board of Equalization. Board members are Joe Christ, Charles Laird, and myself, Lexi Moore, and Jen Herrera is our clerk. The board is a quasi-judicial body, which means having to do with powers that are to some extent judicial, as those of certain federal and state boards and commissions. The board and the assessor's office are independent of each other. Our role is to review the facts presented by both parties and determine the market value of the property as of January 1 of the assessment year. The law grants presumption of correctness to the assessor, and the burden is on the petitioner to prove the assessment's incorrect. The hearing will be recorded and all testimonies under oath, and our clerk will now ask you to affirm your testimony by raising your right hand.
Do each of you who will be testifying today affirm that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Following the hearing, the board will meet to weigh the evidence and make a final determination. We will issue a written decision to you, which you should receive within the next 4 weeks. This decision is appealable to the State Board of Tax Appeals with a notice of the appeal opportunity and the process written at the bottom of the decision. The board is in receipt of all documentary data provided by both you and the assessor's office, and we have reviewed it prior to this hearing. And the appellant will present his case first, and then the assessor will present his case. So, have 5.
Okay, thank you very much. In our packet that we provided, we've had the numbers listed.
Oh, sorry.
I have the page number listed at the very bottom, so hopefully you can follow along. Page A1 is just a notice that we received from the assessor. As you can see, our previous assessment was $598,500, and they want to raise the assessment to $637,100. On page A2, this is information from the assessor, and I believe there's a highlighted portion in the second paragraph. I'd actually like to read the sentence just before that. State law requires that the assessors appraise property at 100% of its true and fair market value in money according to the highest and best use of the property. Fair market value or true value is the amount of money that a willing and unobligated buyer is willing to pay a willing and unobligated seller. That's important in this case. Page A3 is the notice that we received from the assessor's office the previous year. They wanted to raise the assessment on our home to $712,900. We appealed that to the board, and the board, in his wisdom and common sense, ruled in our favor. The assessor's office, immediately after we received notice, appealed the board's decision to the state. It has been over a year, and the state, to our knowledge, has not made a ruling on that because we have not received notice. Page A4 is just a map of the local area of the Connell Airport and our home in relation to it. The dark dotted line is the city limits of the city of Connell. Page A5 is our home in relationship to the Adams County line. As you can see, our home is 4.17 miles from the Adams County line. Page A6 is a map of our local area, including the Bennett Cattle Company and their feedlot. Bennett Cattle Company runs several thousand cattle. In the circled portion there, you can see their feedlot. The prevailing winds are from the southwest, and so the winds blow from the feedlot directly to our house. The winds blow dust, odor, stench, flies, and mosquitoes directly towards our home. What prospective buyer is going to want to purchase our home when they smell the odors and stench coming from the feedlot when they are standing in our backyard? A7 is a map of the area in relation to the runway at the airport and the distances from our bedroom window. Photo A8, and you can see it is 419 feet. Photo A8 is a photo of an crop dusting airplane landing at the runway. And just to explain why that's important, what prospective buyer is going to want to purchase our home when they learn that beginning in spring, usually the end of February, and ending in October, that up to 3 very loud crop dusting airplanes take off every morning beginning at sunrise, which is usually 4 a.m. or about. And this is outside our bedroom window, and they take off and land every 15 to 30 minutes throughout the balance of the day. If you turn to packet B1, this is a map and the distance measured from our residence at 700 Airport Lane to a residence at 675 East Ash Street in the city of Connell. The distance measured is 7,150 feet or 1.35 miles. We have attempted to make a diligent, honest, and extensive search of recently purchased homes in the city limits of Connell to utilize as a comparable. The residence and property located at 675 East Ash is the closest that we could come to. We are using the residence property as a baseline. The home is owned by the Quarles family. On page B2, you'll see the tax information on our property at 700 Airport Lane. In 2022, the value is listed at $322,200. In 2023, it was $412,900. In 24 is $598,500. After we appealed to the board and prevailed, it continued at $598,000. Now they want to raise it to $637,000. If you turn to page B4, it's just some of the information about our home, but we have that explained on another page. B6 is the residence at 675 East Ash Street. This is a Quarles home. The homes are very similar. The Quarles purchased their home in 2023 for $475,000. Their assessed value for 2025, if you read on the bottom, was $495,900. Next year, in 2026, it goes down to $394,200. Ours is going up $100,000, and the closest comparable we can find is going down $100,000. Is that my time?
That is your time. Assessor, would you like to start?
Yes, thank you. All right, well, good morning. If you could please start off on page 1 of the packet I provided. The property is located at 700 Airport Lane in Connell. It's located on 1.1 acres. It's built in 2003. It's a one-story with a basement, with the upper having 2,304 square feet, the basement also having the same square footage, 2,304 square feet. It also has an attached garage of 900 square feet, a porch of 512 square feet, and a balcony of 512 square feet. This property is rated average quality, average condition. If you can please follow me to page 4. Page 4 is going to show a photo of the subject, and page 5 will show a sketch of the subject. Pages 6 and 7 are essentially the assessor's packet summary that reviews the petitioner's concerns, assessor's response, market findings, land, and summary overall. The assessor's true and fair market value as of January 1st, 2025 is $637,100 for this property. You can please follow me to page 8. These are the sales in the subject neighborhood. Just want to mention that state law requires that the assessors that they value all taxable property at 100% of its true and fair market value and money according to the highest and best use of the property. The mass appraisal process utilizes sales to assist in calibrating assessments to market value. The two sales that I provided here, one of them is from Franklin County, the other one is from Adams County. I want to note that land and any outbuildings were extracted on both sales to compare above grade general living area, price per square foot only. So if you look at cell 1, it's in a similar neighborhood that was combined with the subject's neighborhood in the cell ratio study for the neighborhoods to establish values. Cell 1 also has a small airport across the street. It's the same style as the subject's. It is inferior in year built by 25 years, slightly inferior in square footage for above and below grade, and it's inferior in condition, slightly superior in quality rating. The cell ratio for this property is 74.59%. The above grade price per square foot after extracting land and any outbuildings is $321.28. For cell 2, I had to reach out to Adams County to find the most similar cell to the subject property. It's slightly inferior in year built. It's a different style, superior in square footage and quality. I did this mainly to bracket, but just due to the limited amount of cells, I wanted to make sure I bracketed. The cell ratio is 76.3%. Above grade price per square foot after extracting land in any outbuildings is 183.62. From both of these cells, it indicates a above grade price per square foot range of 183 to 321, an average of 252, compared to the subject's above grade price per square foot of 266. The two cells also indicate a cell ratio range of 74.59 to 76.03, an average of 75.31%, which is below the 100% of true and fair market value. Just want to note that the cells comparison approach with direct comparable cells was not used to establish values. The cells were not adjusted for differences nor compared to the subject property to calculate the market value for the subject property. Map 9 will show a map showing the locations of the cells. And finally, page 10. Since I did extract land, I provided land cells as well to justify land for the subject. There's 7 land cells that have been provided. Subject is 1.1 acres as mentioned. These land cells bracket the subject size. Similar districts, price per square foot of the cells support the assessed value. When looking at all these cells, the average assessment ratio is 51.63%, which is below the 100% of true and fair market value. And with that, I ask that the Board of Equalization sustain the assessor's market value of 637.1. Thank you.
And with that, board, would you like to open up discussion for 10 minutes?
Mr. Quinton, do you have anything you want to rebut that Angel said, or any comments on his sales?
Not specifically, it just seems odd, and maybe this is their protocol, that the houses that he uses as comparables, and maybe I'm using the incorrect terminology, are South Franklin County, right near the Tri-Cities, and then the house that's up north, closer to Othello. Those are major municipal areas compared to a little town out in the middle of nowhere, but anyway, I have nothing to dispute.
I understand. No, completely valid concern. If you can please follow me over to, let's see. Yeah, so page 16, 17, and 18. This is what was published for the cell ratio for the neighborhood. The subject is located in neighborhood 630, but 630 and 640 are similar in relation to their class grounds and just being rural residential properties as well, which is the main reason why I included my cell 1 as the best cell, because it was within the time frame of cells that we analyze, and it was in neighborhood 640. I know it wasn't specifically neighborhood 630 as a subjects, but it's also, nonetheless, it's a rural residential property, and it's a same style, very similar square footage, which is rare to find. So it was the most similar property in the most relevant time frame. But I understand where it's located. Yeah, so cell 1, it's down below, pretty close to PK Highway. For that reason, I used cell number 2. I reached out to Adams County, got a list of their cells, and provided a further northern property that was also rural residential, not within city limits, to try to justify it. Although it was superior in square footage, it was similar in year built. And yeah, it justified the overall range where the subject's property is being valued at. As mentioned, I believe the cell ratio for both cells is only like at 75% of market value. With the subject being in between that, it's definitely not being overassessed. It's way below 100%. So yeah, that's why I used those 2 cells.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a question. It was brought up by the appellant that the property, the Ash property, it was assessed at a lower value from last year. Maybe you can give an explanation as to why it dropped in its assessment?
Yeah, of course. So the property that was presented, 675 East Ash, this property sold in 2023, and the value was sent out in 2024. Since then, they've gotten a new value, and the new value that they received this year for 2024 sales has been lowered. So yeah, we've reflected based on the Lamb Weston shutdown. Assessments within the city of Connell have dropped. So
Would you expect, I mean, the appellant's house is within the city limits of Connell, right?
not necessarily, no. It's not within the city limits of Connell. It's rural residential. This lot is 0.32 acres, and the subject is 1.1 acres.
I guess I'm
It's-
confused. I thought I saw an image here that shows that it actually is part of the Connell city limits.
It's in the same district, so it is getting taxed at the same rate. However, the use for the land is different.
Okay. So do you think the Lamb Weston shutdown would have no effect on the appellant's property?
It does, and it did. So last year, I know he appealed his. Here, let me go back to that real quick. So there's a comment on his property saying that he did appeal his value last year. Oh, sorry. Give me a second. I don't know what happened.
No, we're aware that he appealed it. He also brought that up to our attention, too.
Yeah, so last year's value was 712.9. The BOE changed the value to 598.5. Yeah, the value did drop from what we had it assessed, what was sent out originally last year. The original value last year was 712.9. This year it dropped to 637.1. So it did have an effect. The Lamb Weston shutdown did have an effect, and we did reflect that on this year's notice.
Okay. It just seemed to be quite a sizable drop for the property that was actually physically in the Connell city
Yeah, and
compared to his. Do you take into account any location adjustments, like being beside an airport, near a?
yeah, there are certain influences, yes.
Okay. Are those shown on here?
Unless there's sales to justify that those influences actually do have a role within those sales, then we'll reflect that. And with prevailing winds, I'm not sure if it has such a factor with the property if it were to get listed.
Yeah, I don't see any evidence showing how a feedlot affects price.
Unless it's a major feedlot that, it's constant smell for that, then yeah, we definitely do recognize that and apply an adjustment on that because of it.
Okay. Mr. Quinton, why did you buy this property?
We lived in the city of Connell. I grew up on a farm in Basin City. I'm a farm boy.
Okay.
When we first got married, we lived in the city of Connell in a single wide trailer and then it was a small double wide trailer. And we wanted to get out in the country. And the Eskilsons, who owned the Connell Airport at the time, they were very gracious and sold us the 1.1 acres. And we built the house. I mean, we actually built it ourselves. We hammered the nails. We painted the walls. We built it ourselves. And it took 1.5 years to build it. And so that's the only way we could afford that house, is because we started from scratch and built it.
Thank you. I think I'm done on my questions.
I had a quick question.
Yep.
And it must have happened in early 2025, because I didn't see it on your list, but I think there's two, I thought there were two, this is just totally because I know this, but I thought there were two, like, 3-acre lots that sold, like, it, I think they're right to the west of the ones that Rachel Demray bought.
Yeah, there are several locations. There's some to the east of Turner's house. There's some lots there, and then some directly across to the north off of Nordheim
Okay,
that they're building that new house.
okay,
And they
yeah.
were from earlier this year in 2025?
Yeah, they must have closed in 2025. I
Gotcha.
just, a lot of times in rural areas, you guys tend to, especially when it's something like this.
Sales are rare out there?
Yeah, you guys tend to grab like stuff. I was just kind of curious as to why, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, all the 2025 sales will be relevant for next year's notice, as this year's notice is focused on 2024 sales. However, yeah, we will do that if it's early in the year and they're relevant. My assumption is just we had enough evidence to justify the subject's property with the sales that we did have already, but I'm not sure. We'll definitely have those available for next year's notices, though.
Okay,
And that will reflect on next year's notices for land.
okay, thank you. And then I was just gonna ask, so there wasn't anything like west of Connell? I mean, I know some places sold, but were you just having a hard time finding stuff with a basement? Or, yeah, okay.
Definitely, which is why the cell 2 is a one story. It doesn't even have a basement. Obviously, a basement does add value, right? But to find a one-story over basement home, a 2003 year built home with that significant square footage out in a rural residential area is pretty uncommon. And what I didn't want to do was use sales from like 2022. Although we're allowed to go back 5 years for sales, I wanted to stay as relevant as possible, using as close as sales to 2024. So very limited amount of sales to show proof and justify the subject's assessed value, but after extensive research and yeah, those were the best similar sales.
Okay. That is our time. Right. This concludes the hearing for petition BE 2025-24, parcel 106-700-088. Owners are James and Rhonda Quinton. A final decision should be received by you within 4 weeks, and this is appealable to the State Board of Tax Appeals with a notice for the process for that appeal written at the bottom of the decision. Time is now 12:02.
Thank you very much.
Today's decisions for the Franklin County Board of Equalization regarding petition BE 2025-28, parcel number 110-560-386 for Michelle and Harold Snively. The board decided to sustain the assessor's reduced value of $168,600. Regarding petition BE 2025-24, parcel number 106-700-088 for James and Rhonda Quinton, the board decided to sustain the assessor's value of $637,100. This concludes the hearings for December 4th, 2025. The board is now adjourned.